8:45. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by J. Yogaraj and read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. Lord Naseby says that he is surprised to see the statement of the British government presented at the UNHRC Council meeting. Lord Naseby praised the Sri Lankan security forces for their heroic efforts to save the lives of the innocent Tamils and Muslims. Chiefs of Air Staff for Pakistan and Bangladesh call on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Minister Admiral Sarath Weerasekara says new laws will be enacted to punish those who glorify, support, abet and fund LTT terrorists or LTT sympathizers. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 figures up by 182 new cases. Sri Lanka's COVID recoveries count crosses 81,000. In news overseas, Pope Francis begins historic Iraq visit despite virus and security risks. And in sports news, Indian batsman Rishabh Pant defies Ben Stokes-led fight back. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the local news. Lord Naseby said that he is surprised to see the statement of the British government presented at the UNHRC Council meeting. The report of the UNHRC chief is a biased report which favours some interested parties at the top level. However, Lord Naseby said that he has a different idea about this report. Minister Admiral Sarath Weerasekara says new laws will be enacted to punish those who glorify, support and fund LTT terrorists or LTT sympathizers. Many world countries have banned terrorist organizations, but some parliamentarians in Sri Lanka used to glorify terrorists in parliament. Some people are trying to commemorate LTT leaders. Taking these factors into consideration, the government plans to introduce new laws to eliminate this menace, the minister said. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The Speed Investment Plan from Sri Lanka Insurance. Give a high five to life.
And we continue with more local news. The Ministry of Health says that another 485 patients who were previously tested positive for COVID-19 have recovered and discharged from the hospitals within the last 24 hours. This brings the total number of COVID-19 recoveries in the country to 81,321. According to the situation report of the Epidemiology Unit, majority of the recoveries were reported from Rambukana Treatment Centre, Yakkala Treatment Centre, Varakapula Base Hospital, Giriulla Treatment Centre and Lunava District Hospital. A total of 84,792 cases of coronavirus have been reported in Sri Lanka so far, while 2,982 of them are currently under medical care. Sri Lanka's death toll due to the virus stands at 489. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. Lord Naseby said he is surprised to see the statement of the British government presented at the UNHRC Council meeting. Lord Naseby praised the Sri Lankan security forces for their heroic efforts to save the lives of the innocent Tamil and Muslim people. Chief of Air Staff of Pakistan and Bangladesh call on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Minister Admiral Sarath Weerasekara says new laws will be enacted to punish those who glorify, support and fund LTT terrorists or LTT sympathizers. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 figures up by 182 new cases. Sri Lanka's COVID recoveries count crosses 81,000. And that was the local news.
Introducing Speed Investment with Sri Lanka Insurance, the only insurance policy that increases your sum assured by 5% every year for the same premium amount. You also get a bonus payment at maturity. What better plan to have when you can invest now and relax later? The Speed Investment Plan from Sri Lanka Insurance. Give a high five to life. Sri Lanka Insurance. Like a father, like a mother.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
The main news story for tonight, the Chief of Air Staff of Pakistan Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Maujid Anwar Khan, and the Chief of Air Staff of Bangladesh Air Force, Air Chief Marshal Muzaimuddin Serimnath, called on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa at Temple Feast last evening. Both heads of the Air Force are visiting Sri Lanka to attend the 70th anniversary celebrations of the Sri Lanka Air Force. The Pakistani and Bangladeshi delegates spoke to the Prime Minister about providing training for Air Force officers as well as assisting each other with technical requirements that arise. Air Chief Marshal Khan said that his visit to Sri Lanka shortly after Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan's visit last week augments, strengthens and enhances the relationship between the two countries. We stand by shoulder to shoulder with Sri Lanka, he said. Air Chief Marshal of Bangladesh spoke about the close ties between the two countries and the two air forces. We stand with our friends, he said. The topic of cricket also came up in the conversation with the Pakistan Air Chief Marshal. We are very thankful to the Sri Lanka for reviving our cricket, Air Chief Marshal Khan said, noting that when Sri Lankan team toured Pakistan in December 2019, it helped to boost the confidence of each of the teams to play in Pakistan once again. Sri Lanka's 2019 tour of Pakistan was the first international test match Pakistan hosted since the year 2009 terrorist attack on the bus carrying the Sri Lankan cricket team. In other topics, the two air chiefs air staff also discussed the COVID-19 situation in their countries, economic revival in post-COVID era, and regional cooperation and tourism. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
And in Washlet tonight, residents of the Mount Lavinia area complain that the garbage is not collected on time at certain inner roads. This has caused immense difficulties to the motorists and the residents of the area. This has created a health hazard in certain areas as well. This is for the attention of the Dahiwala Mount Lavinia Municipal Council. And that came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Headlines of the world news. Pope Francis begins historic Iraq visit despite virus and security risk. Sarah Silverman apologizes to Paris Hilton for prison jokes. China NPC, Beijing to overhaul Hong Kong electoral system. Those are the headlines, and now we move on to the details of the world news. Pope Francis has arrived in Iraq for the first ever papal visit there and his first international trip since the start of the coronavirus pandemic. COVID and security fears have made this his riskiest visit yet, but the 84-year-old insisted he was duty-bound. He will try to reassure the dwindling Christian community and foster interreligious dialogue, meeting Iraq's most revered Shia Muslim cleric. The Pope will also celebrate Mass at the stadium in Erbil in North. Comedian Sarah Silverman has apologized to Paris Hilton for jokes she told at the MTV Movie Awards in the year 2007 about the socialite's forthcoming prison stint. The awards were attended by Hilton just hours before she was jailed for violating probation on an alcohol-related drinking-driving conviction. Hilton responded by saying she was shocked and pleasantly surprised. China's top lawmaking body has unveiled plans to ensure only patriots can govern Hong Kong as Beijing tightens grip on the city with changes to the electoral system. Premier Li Keqiang, addressing the National People's Congress, warned the world not to interfere. The move follows the imposition of a tough security law. Critics say Beijing is crushing dissent and removing the one country, two system agreement it made with the UK. And to conclude the world news, the headlines once again. Pope Francis Francis begins historic Iraq visit despite virus and security risk. Sarah Silverman apologizes to Paris Hilton for prison jokes. China NPC, Beijing to overhaul Hong Kong electoral system. And that was the world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always. All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by Nivea along with CIB from 1st to 15th March. Valuable gifts for every bill payment. Our products, our place. CIB.
And in development news, the Sapirigama Rural Infrastructure Development Program of the government is being carried out successfully. 33,600 projects are being implemented so far under the project. A sum of 2 million rupees is set aside for each Gramaniladari Vasam area. And that came to you in the segment of development news.
Development News was brought to you by Nivea along with CIB from 1st to 15th March. Valuable gifts for every bill payment. Our products, our place. CIB.
Moving on to sports news. In soccer news, Scotland is still absolutely intent of hosting the matches at the Euro 2020 this summer, says First Minister Nicola Sturgeon. Glasgow is one of the 12 host cities of the delayed championships, but a failure to indicate to UEFA that the supporters will be allowed to attend has put that at risk. Nations have until the 7th of April to formally tell UEFA whether they can host fans. And in cricket news, Rishabh Pant's dazzling century ensured India repelled a Ben Stokes-led England fight back on a compelling second day of the final test in Ahmedabad. In extreme heat, Stokes' huge effort that brought the wickets of Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma to help reduce India to 146 for 6 in reply to England's 205. But Pant counter-attacked the thrilling style, climbing into a tiring England attack for 101 from 118 balls with 13 fours and 2 sixes. And on the scoreboard, England batted first and made 205 in their first innings. In India, in reply, were 294 for the loss of 7 wickets at the end of second day's play of the first test match being played in India. That was the sports news. Business news coming up.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
In business news, Windforce Limited, the pioneers in the growth and supply of renewable energy in Sri Lanka, has announced an initial public offering that aims to raise 3.24 billion rupees to fund its strategic expansion and growth in the renewable energy sector. The IPO offers 202,615,000 ordinary voting shares at 16 rupees per share and aims to raise 3.2 billion rupees. The joint managers and financial advisors to the issue are CTCLSA Capital Limited and Capital Alliance Partners Limited. Windforce has been issued SLA AA- stable credit ratings by ICRA Lanka, which is the highest rating given to a corporate in Sri Lanka at the time of the issuance of the ICRA Lanka Limited. That was the business news, and economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic News. Courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion.
It will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh, no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And in economic news, Sri Lankan economy is still recovering from the downturn caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. In such a situation, it is important to take the economy out of the COVID-19 pandemic situation and subsequently work towards the growth of the economy and investment promotion, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman said. Speaking on the current status of the economy, Professor Lakshman said other conditions are being created to promote investments. The main monetary policy instrument for this is a lowest income interest rate regime and also market liquidity for banks. This is being provided and also requesting the banks to increase their lending for productive activities. In this context and also given the low inflation environment, the Monetary Board considers the current policy stance as appropriate. That was economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And finally, the weather report. The Met Department says showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in most provinces of the island in the evening or night. Fairly heavy falls, about 35 millimeters, can be expected at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa, Uva and southern province. Several spells of showers will occur in the eastern and north central provinces and in the Hambantota district during the morning too. Misty condition can be expected at some places in the central, Sabaragamuwa, Uva and western provinces in the morning hours. General public is kindly requested to take adequate precautions to minimize damages caused by temporary localized strong winds and lightning during thunder showers. This weather report was published this evening at 7:30 p.m. Further details could be obtained by visiting the official website of the department. And before we conclude this bulletin of news, let's get back to the headlines once again. Lord Nesby said he is surprised to see the statement of the British government presented at the UNHRC Council meeting. Lord Nesby praised the Sri Lankan security forces for their heroic efforts to save the lives of innocent Tamils and Muslims. Chief of Air Staff of Pakistan and Bangladesh called on Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. Minister Admiral Sarath Weerasekara says that new laws will be enacted to punish those who glorify, support and fund LTT terrorists or LTT sympathizers. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 figures up by 182 new cases. Sri Lanka's COVID-19 recoveries count crosses 81,000 mark. In news overseas, Pope Francis begins historic Iraq visit despite virus and security risks. And in sports news, Indian batsman Rishabh Pant's ton defies Ben Stokes-led fight back. And with that, we conclude this bulletin of news. And now it's back to your Friday evening duo on the other side of the glass panel. After some time, I should say. Yes, that's right. It's over to Indrani Senanayake and Victor Raj.
Thank you, Lavani. That was Lavani Vijayatunga giving it the news on Radio Sri Lanka. And on behalf of our listeners and crew of Radio SLBC English Radio Channel, yes, a safe journey home.
Oh, yes, indeed, Lavani. Thank you very much for the news and we wish you all the best. Have a safe journey home and enjoy what's left of the weekend. All the very best to you. The time has moved on to 3 minutes after 9. This is Radio Sri Lanka.
The Supri Vasana is pleased to gift many. The giveaways have changed, more prizes, and easy to be a winner. Through Supri Vasana's brand new concept, everybody is a winner. Make your dream a reality with more assets with Supri Vasana of the National Lotteries Board.
Nivea along with CIB from 1st to 15th March. Valuable gifts for every bill payment. Our products, our place. CIB.